Hello, everyone. Welcome to another scene for Steps of the Howling Winds, a Werewolf the Apocalypse venue set in San Diego, California. In this scene, we have a new Garu in the city, and I will hand it over to his player to for him to narrate what he is doing. Ugh. So, take it away.
Um, Early afternoon on this reasonably pleasant spring day in San Diego. A dark blue BMW pulls up outside the veterinary hospital. Um, about half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour away from the set. The driver uh takes off his driving gloves and looks over to the rather unhappy fawn pug sat in the passenger seat. Cornelius, we've discussed this. Every time we move cities, you have to go and see a vet. And the dog kind of makes this sort of sound, and Arthur sighs. Come on, we won't have a repeat of last week's incident. And he gets out the car and he picks up the dog, who, I mean, it's a pug, so, like, pugs aren't really strong. It just kind of, like, picked up, it kind of, like, flails its legs around in a vain attempt to get away. Um, as it's carried inside the veterinary hospital, thrashing around rather comically, with this man carrying it. Dr. Arthur Branman is a man in his late 30s. Um, he's not your typical. I mean, I wouldn't say he was tall, dark, and handsome. He's handsome in his own certain way. He's got very remarkable blue eyes. The most striking thing about him is probably, apart from his British accent, is his height. He's somewhere in the realm of 6'5". Um, and he dresses very, very smart. He's wearing a what looks to be an Armani suit. He's holding the dog out away from him at the moment to stop the dribble and or any other dirty protest the dog wants to do. In vain of trying to avoid going into the vets as he carries the dog into the veterinary um, hospital's reception and walks up to the reception desk and says, uh, excuse me, I have an appointment, Dr. Brandman.
The receptionist uh will smile warmly um to Arthur and we'll say, okay, let me, and she'll look him up in the computer, and she'll say, okay, uh, let me see your ID.
Okay, he reaches into his pocket. He brings out a driver's license.
So yeah, she checks, the ID, and what out of character, what's the pug's name?
Cornelius.
Cornelius. Okay. So
Cornelius
yes,
Oswald the Third.
so Dr. Bronwyn for Cornelius, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I've got you all checked in. Go ahead and have a seat, and we'll call you back shortly. And she hands back
So,
his
there
identification and,
on
all that boring stuff.
is there anything on the desk? You know, like sometimes in veterinary services, like they have like
They're they're little treats out for the dogs
yeah,
and stuff.
the
Yeah.
the the pug, while he's holding the dog away from him and talking to the receptionist, the pug like has put his head like expertly removed in that way that pugs do whenever there's food around, to put his head in the treat bowl.
So she notices this and she laughs.
Oh, and he just pulls the dog away. He goes, "Ah, Cornelius, I'm sorry. I do apologise. I'm afraid that my dog is remiss of in any sort of manners.
She grins and waves him off like, no, it's not a big deal. It happens all the time. That's why we have them out there. It's fine.
He takes a seat with the dog on Cornelius on his lap and takes out what do you call it, a napkin? We call it a handkerchief. Takes out a
Hmm.
handkerchief in his breast pocket um, and wipes the pug's mouth. Really, we are going to have to get you some etiquette lessons. You can't keep showing me up like this. He whispers to the dog as he sits.
So a couple of minutes later, a nurse will come uh, and call out Cornelius's name.
The dog wags its tail uh, briefly, and he'll stand up and bring the pug into the room where he's called.
And the nurse will ask some basic questions like what brings you in today and, things like that.
Annual shots. Um, we've just moved here, and it's policy to get your animals checked and registered and that sort of thing in the new city.
She'll write all of that down and take him back to a room, exam room, and she'll take his vitals and his temperature, and I'm sure he's not very happy about his having his temperature taken, but
I
you know,
mean, he's not an aggressive dog. He'll complain and gruff and
right? He'll make frustrated pug noises.
uh, he's a he's a little bit overweight. I mean, not massively,
Mhm.
but pugs are prone to being tiny because they're actual pigs. Um,
Yes, they
they're
are.
like
So
literal pigs,
she'll just
not
like she's not judging anything. She takes all of his vitals and all of that, writes everything down, and leaves the chart in the room. Or well, no, she doesn't. She takes the chart with her, and because she'll hand it off to the doctor, and she'll smile to them, and she'll pet Cornelius, and she'll say, "Okay, your doctor is Dr. Barnett, and she will be with you shortly. So just hang tight." And she will exit the exam room out the back of it, where you can kind of see, more like you catch a glimpse of, doctors and nurses milling about back there. Um,
um.
because this
Well,
is
I'll
also
explain.
this is also a emergency. They have emergency services here, so it's a little bit bigger of a hospital or
Yeah,
clinic than what you would normally go to.
while he's waiting, he kind of fiddles with I don't know, probably one of the models on display. Like they probably have like a model, a bit like in a doctor's office. They have like a model of like a dog spine or something.
They do, yeah.
Yeah,
There are various things in there he could mess with while he's
he's
waiting.
he fiddles with it. The dog Claudius is probably too short and too fat to jump off the table,
Yeah,
so
so
he's
Cornelius plops down on the table and just lays there with his head between his paws and looks pitifully at Arthur.
Don't look at me like I'm reading you your last rites, Cornelius. We're just getting you a checkup.
He
And
huffs.
uh he he kind of fiddles again. He's fiddling with this spine.
So you don't have to wait long. It's about 5 minutes before I should have made her like a doctor overlay, but whatever. Fine.
Um,
Um
she's a doctor. She's a veterinary doctor.
yes. But I mean I should have made her like an overlay where she looks like, in her scrubs and lab coat, but whatever. Fine. Uh
This hot chick enters the room.
she comes in, and she gives a bright smile to Arthur.
Who, when he sees it, immediately drops the spine and the little coloured balls that are the indicators of the connectors between the vertebrae on the spine like bounce onto the floor.
She'll offer her hand to Arthur and she'll say, "Hi, I'm Dr. Nicole Barnett."
He bends down to pick up the bouncing spine, and then puts it on the side and smiles apologetically. Doctor, the dog like looks at him like, why? Um, Doctor Arthur Branwyn.
Very nice to meet you. What kind of doctor are you?
I mean, hematologist, but
Oh, interesting. So, what can I do for you and your little guy today? She turns her attention towards Cornelius and just starts petting him. And he, of course, he's a pug. He loves attention. Arthur can smell pure breed off of this woman.
yes, she can smell purebred on Arthur. He has purebred 4.
Oh,
um, he turns to the dog and pets it. Oh, just to check up. Um, we just moved here.
ah, okay. So he needs shots and things like that, right?
Right.
Hmm. So she'll check over his chart. Well, he is a little overweight. Hmm. Does he have any allergies?
Exercise.
She she snorts. So
No, not that I know of.
uh, she'll nod and she'll pet him.
He's looking
Okay.
at her, kind of like
He
probably because
seems. She'll like listen to his breathing and things like that. Um.
he breathes like a pug.
Mhm.
But
Um.
he's about 3 years old, and all his documents indicate that he's in good health, apart from being a bit chubby.
So she'll say, okay. Well, for the most part, he seems relatively fine. You might want to watch his how much he's eating, cut back a little bit, especially if he's pretty sedentary.
Good advice for both of us. Arthur pats him.
um, and I'm gonna run a few tests just to make sure that he's doesn't have anything else going on. But to me, he seems pretty fine. But just because you just moved here and all of that, I'll run some tests and things like that. Social and yeah. So I'll just have the nurse come back and take his blood and give him his shots, and you'll be good to go.
Thank you, Doctor.
Not a problem. I hope that you'll come back.
um, he sort of does the thing where he puts his hand on the back of his head. He's kind of trying to work out. He can smell the pure breed,
Mm-hmm.
but he's. Is there a difference between whether you can tell whether someone's a werewolf or kinfolk, or is it?
Um, she doesn't feel like that she has rage, so because Garu can feel rage from other Garu.
Mm.
So that would be how you could tell the difference.
He waits for the nurse to leave, maybe to take the dog to have test shots.
Hmm.
And then he'll walk up to her and reach into his pocket and give her his card.
She'll take it. She'll smile
Um,
to him.
you notice that it has on the front it's not a normal business card on the it has a um it's more like a personal card,
Hmm.
and it has the symbol of Gaia on it.
She smiles a knowing smile, and she'll lean and whisper in his ear, uh, "See you at the set."
He nods
He
and says
nods.
he smiles, and he doesn't bow. I was about to say he bows. He does not bow, because this is not Dark Ages. Uh, he,
Right?
he walks
This is
normally.
you are not before the Queen Mother.
He walks like a normal person, somewhat. Stop it. Right, yeah.
My goodness. But yeah, she'll smile to him and nod and well, this is where I work. I would be more than happy to be your regular doctor.
Um, likewise. Perhaps we could chat uh, later at a more private. He looks over his uh,
He nods. I would like that.
shoulder. Yeah, when you're not working.
Of course. I would like that.
Well, you know where I'll be. You've got my number.
Hmm. She nods. Indeed.
He smiles and he will make his way out. The dog's trying to make friends with the nurse.
the nurse
Treat.
the nurse is in love with him and she takes treats out of her pocket and gives it to him. Uh Nikki
He,
uh will pet Cordelius on her way by and kind of tap the nurse on the arm like, "Come on, gotta let him go."
he's a really affectionate dog, especially if treats are involved.
Hmm.
Uh, and he Arthur just regards him like being adored on by these women. He goes, "Come on." He picks him up under his arm. Uh, looking back to Nicky briefly before he exits the veterinary office. Oh no, he'll pay first, obviously.
Hmm.
America
Yeah, yeah. Go check out, settle the bill.
pays the
Just
bill
like
with his.
$100.
Okay, well, he because he's a guy and guys can be kind of douchey about this sometimes to show off. He gets out his like platinum card, like it makes
Ooh.
kind of like a show of the fact that he has a platinum card.
That's
Not
fantastic.
not like a massive show, but like
I know, but
test like
it's still funny. I
I have
like it.
a platinum card. And he taps it on the desk and puts it back in his wallet, and then he'll leave. Get into his BMW, drop his dog off at his apartment, because he's not going to. Why are you hissing?
Hmm?
I thought you hissed at me.
No,
I thought you were like.
I said yeah. No, I said yes.
Yeah, he's bought quite a nice apartment, probably about 15 minutes or so away from the sept. Um, I'll detail it in my blue book because I can't bother to describe it now. Um, he's bought a nice apartment anyway. It's a condo. Platinum Club. Uh, and then he drives to this, and then he'll drive to the sept. Um,
Okay.
and he'll start walking into the park. Um, sort of suddenly remorseful that he didn't change his shoes. Walks across the grass.
Yes. So yeah, there's the public parking area, um, and then yeah, walk there. There's some trails, but there are parts that are grassy and dirt, things like that.
Let me know if you need me to roll anything.
Nah, it's not that rough terrain.
Oh.
Um, so when he can feel where the sept like wards start, um, which would be the entrance to the sept.
Hmm.
Uh, is he going to step sideways and make a howl of introduction?
Yes.
Okay, do that. And you're gonna love who comes to meet him. So yeah, he makes his howl. You don't have to say it,
Ooh.
and he's gonna be greeted by the warder.
Oh shit! This is a big guy.
Yeah, he's very big, but
Punches all the face. Oh shit! Please don't
and
hit your face. Uh,
punches will come greet him and make his introduction. Punches all the faces. Lupus, Geta Fenris, Arun, Warder of the Sept, Athro. And he already heard Arthur's, so he doesn't need to. He,
yeah,
he
I'll do
doesn't
it
need
in.
that. Like, if you want to post it in on the
I
Howl thread as like a
I will
howl
do.
that was made, you can do that. So um, but yeah, so
I
he'll kind of sniff him. He's in lupus, so this massive timber wolf is very gray. He's so gray. He's almost silver in color, with kind of this same expression that's on his overlay. The wolf's expression kind of looks
I,
at him.
I not look like he should be in. He doesn't like. You can smell. Punches can smell the pure breed.
Hmm.
He knows. He knows from his howl that he's a child of Gaia.
Yep.
Um, Philodox. But if anyone just did not look like they would be a werewolf, it's this guy.
Yeah.
He just looked in not exactly of punches, but just kind of like in this environment. And he says,
Yeah. So he kind of squints and he sniffs and he's like, "You are Garu. You are Garu. Okay."
"I am. I my my previous alpha. She sent word to um your alpha and the children of Gaia in this sect. So I believe I am expected."
Hmm. Since there have been changes that have happened. There are, of course, there are some children of Gaia here, but the Alpha is no longer a child of Gaia.
I see.
But you, of course, are still welcome. So
Yes,
please. And he'll shift to Hamid so he can do the rite of cleansing. Um,
they're probably about the same height.
he is 7'4".
Oh shit! In Homid,
Uh-huh. He is at the top end of huge size.
for the first time in his life,
Arthur, I think, is at the lower end of huge size, which is 6'8".
yeah, um, huge size. Yeah, he's like Arthur's. Yeah, about 6'8", but in no way as physically impressive as this man. He's sort of like, um, he doesn't look skinny. You know how Stephen Fry looks.
Oh,
He's a
absolutely,
big,
for
he's a
sure.
big guy, but he's
Hmm.
not muscular. He's not like this guy
Yeah,
is like
punches is big. He's muscular. He's an Arun. He's
he the first time in his entire um he feels
and he does look like,
short.
since we're in the Umbra, he has spirit heritage Thor, very high spirit heritage Thor, so he looks like the embodiment of the god of thunder.
Yeah, Arthur stands there as the rite of cleansing carries on, feeling very small and British and nerdy compared to
So,
rippling god. He's
um,
his platinum card shrinks.
so yes, he is cleansed by this massive behemoth of a man, um, who does it very delicately. Like, you wouldn't think, but yeah. And he seems like he just has this, even though, yes, he is physically impressive, he has huge size. He is an Arun, yet a Fenris. He's the warder. He still just has like this gentleness about him. Like he can be a very gentle giant and is only exerts his strength when he needs to. So, um, but yeah. So he'll get him cleansed and then he'll say, "All right, come on." And he'll show him around the sept. There's not a whole lot to I mean, there's not a whole lot to look at. There's a training grounds area. Uh, we're staying in the Umbra, so you're seeing the umbral reflections of these things. The training grounds. The Cub area is a tiny home community. There's a big lake. So you see a lot of water spirits and nature spirits, things like that, playing around. Um, there are a lot of nature spirits here. It is a very wild space. There's not there is some Weaver presence, but it's not like it seems very balanced.
Yeah, I mean Arthur grew up in a very secluded Total Gaia
Mhm.
set,
So
so
he would feel so it's not like it's a little bit more Weaverish than he's used to, but it's not like a shock. He can still
yeah,
feel very at home.
yeah.
Um
I'm
and
trying to think about whether I'd have a deed name. I have to try and work that out.
you don't have to have one.
I might do.
You can
Mr. Platinum.
Mr. Platinum, yeah.
It might have to be that now, just for fucking clarity.
That would be hilarious, Mr. Platinum. Okay.
Platinum.
Which means a Ragabash probably named you at your old sept because you flash your platinum card. So he's like, your name's now Mr. Platinum.
Mm.
And the Galliards didn't say shit. So.
It seems legit. um. So yeah, I'm showing around. I
Mhm.
observe. He doesn't really.
Um,
Oh, he just kind of like observes, makes a point of note.
so he'll ask him, do you need housing or do you have somewhere to live?
I'm. I have a house.
Awesome.
Um, I work at the local hospital. Just taking a job there.
He nods.
anyone needs anything.
We have he smiles softly. It seems that we've had an influx of doctors on the sept, which is nice actually. So
Oh,
mm, we have Rafia Dro. He's a midwife type. And then we have Sasha. She's a cub. She used to be a silver fang, but she's um, now a cub again after she mouthed off to the silver fangs and they kicked her out of the tribe. I admire her. She is a geneticist, but she can also perform general medicine. And then we have a Clea Theurge, who is more of an herbalist. She practices more natural medicines. She's a metis, so she
you
doesn't
try.
have any like
You try
schooling.
scoff.
He what?
He tries not to scoff. He just kind of raises his eyebrows.
uh, and now we have you.
Um,
And we have a couple others who have been nurses. One of your tribe mate, Dazzles the Young. She's she was a nurse practitioner for a while. She's also my pack mate.
well, I was a surgeon for the first 10 years. I took a second doctorate in hematology. I wanted to transfer. There's a slight emotional um, look in his eye when he says that, but he kind of shrugs it off.
He nods.
Uh, what about Dr. Barnett?
Oh yes. She's one of a few kinfolk doctors that we have. Well, she's a vet. We have another one. His name is Cameron. He's an ER doctor. He's a Fiona kinfolk. Uh,
When he says that she's a kinfolk, Martha smiles. Yeah.
um, most of our kinfolk, if they're not, we like to keep them close. So they have housing right next to the sept, and he'll lead him over to where the kinfolk housing is, which are basically they're not really trailers. They're more like the modular manufactured homes. Uh, community. Uh, it's pretty big. There's probably like 20 or so houses there. Um, they're spaced out, so they each have like their own little yard and stuff like that.
Reminds me of home.
Hmm.
My previous set. I think it was probably one of the last hippie colonies in America.
He smiles and he's like, "Yeah, I guess you can probably describe us as a hippie colony, commune, whatever." He shakes his head.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for showing me around. Yeah,
Of
actually, he
course,
wouldn't say thanks. He would say, "Thank you for showing me around."
of course, not a problem.
Um, I'm gonna wait out. See if I can meet up with some of my pack mates. Not pack mates, tribe mates.
He nods. Of course.
And he's gonna wait for Nikki to finish her shift at work. Because thankfully, like vets, unlike actual doctors at ERs, don't work as stupid hours.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we can probably end the scene with saying that Arthur's just, yeah, kind of, he's taking in the sept and waiting.
Yeah.
So, uh, sounds good.
But he'll hang out in the sept.
Hmm.
So yeah,
But yeah, he's allowed to come and go as he pleases now that he's been introduced. So,
excellent.
yeah. So, thank you, player, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.